welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video is going to be the budget for the second week in the month of September. Full disclosure, I've already filmed this video once. I set up the entire budget with you guys, or I thought I did, but that footage was corrupted. When I went to go and edit it yesterday, it was supposed to be yesterday's video. I could not get any of the files to work. This is not the first time this has happened to me. I think I need to get a new SD card. I think that is where my issue is coming in. So this budget was supposed to be a setup budget, but it's already set up because I filmed it once already. So we're just going to kind of go over everything, and I'll tell you how I'm going to make my money work for me this week. So if you are not familiar with my channel, this is your first time here, welcome. I do my budgeting for the week in the Budget by Paycheck workbook from The Budget Mom. I own the printable version of this workbook. I print out the pages that I need, which are the paycheck bill tracker and the cash envelope breakdown. Those are the two pages I use. And this is the budget for the week. So we're budgeting for the week of September 8th. We budget from paycheck to paycheck. So my husband gets paid every single Tuesday. So we do our budget weekly. If he were paid bi-weekly, we would do our budget bi-weekly, but he's paid every week on Tuesday, and so every single week I sit down, I figure out what bills are due throughout the week, and I set up my budget. So that is what I have done here. So let's go ahead and just go over what's happening this week. So the first thing I always do when I set up my budget is I look at my calendar and I see what bills are due for the week. I have all of my bills set up in this deluxe monthly planner from Erin Condren. I have a whole color coding system that I use to keep track of everything. And so the paycheck we're working on this week is this payday here, so we're going to take care of all of the bills and expenses from the time that we get paid on the 8th until the next paycheck, which is the 15th. So essentially any bills that fall within this week, I will pay this week. We only have a couple. If you look at my little key here, I keep my bills in this light blue color, and there's only 2 bills that are due during this week. This boost bill here will get paid with next week's income, so the only bills I have to cover are my Hulu bill and my Disney Plus bill. So those are 2 of the streaming services that we use. They're due this week. I also don't have any debt payments due this week. Debt is in this gray. My next debt payment isn't due until the 17th, so we're working with just a couple of bills this week, which is great. Should make for a super easy budget, and as you can see, it did. So in addition to bills, though, under this bills category, I also put any expenses that are things that I'm going to be paying with my debit card or my checking account. That's just the way that I break things down. I pull a lot out in cash. I primarily work with cash, but obviously there are some things that you just have to pay with a debit card. So grocery is one of the items that we leave in the bank because I like to do the Walmart grocery pickup. That has to be paid via card. You can't use cash for that, so I leave my grocery budget in my checking account. That's why it's under bills. So for groceries, I always budget $150. That's for my family of 4. We are eating all of our meals at home primarily. My kiddos are doing virtual learning for school, so they're not, they don't have a school lunch available. So we are doing, like 3 meals a day, every day, with the exception of an occasional takeout meal here at home. So $150 is what it takes to feed up my family. Next up, we have household items. whenever I am purchasing household items, I am typically doing it at the same time as the groceries with that same Walmart pickup. But I have taken to putting it into a separate line item just so I can kind of keep track of how much we are spending in household spending. So household is going to cover anything essentially that we don't eat. So if it's edible, it's coming out of groceries, but things like cleaning supplies, paper towels, shampoo, conditioner, toilet paper, all of that is considered household items. And for that, I've been budgeting $25 a week. So the total amount that I can spend at Walmart is $175, I guess. That's for groceries and household. I just like to kind of break it up so I can keep track of how much is going out per category. I don't get too bent out of shape if I'm a little bit over for household, but I'm a little bit under for groceries because, you know, that's just, it is what it is. But I do have it separated just for that reason, just so I can kind of keep track of, you know, our household spending. Next up, we have those bills I talked about. So we have Hulu. We have the no ads version of Hulu. And so we pay, you know, around $15 a month. I always round my bills up a little bit just so that I know that I'm covered. And then we have Disney Plus, which I think is like $7 or $8, but I round it up and budget $10. For those that are wondering, we do actually have the bundle where you get Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN. You get sort of a discount if you have all of those things. But when I went to set up my Disney Plus account, I already had a Hulu account. And so the way that that worked was they just kept it as two separate transactions, but they just charged me the difference for Disney Plus. So I am getting the discounted rate. It's just that they're two separate transactions because I already had a pre-existing Hulu account when I set that up. So that explains that, and that is a look at all of my bills. Really short and sweet this week. I have a situation where the majority of my bills just happen to fall towards like the first week and the last week of the month, and then the couple in the middle are just really sparse, especially the second paycheck in the month. It's usually just a couple of bills, so I might make some phone calls and rearrange some payments just to make it a little bit easier on myself at some point. I just have never gotten around to doing that. So anyways, I'm rambling. If you add up all of my expenses here under the bills category, we're left with a total of $200. So I have $200 that's going to stay in my bank account to cover these things. And next we're going to move on to cash envelopes. So as I mentioned, I primarily work with cash for our budget. I just really like using cash. It's tangible. I can count it. I can see what I have left without having to log into my bank account. It's really easy for me to just look and see that, okay, I budgeted $40 for gas, I have 20 left, so that's all that I can spend. There's less math involved that way, it's more counting, and I like it. We are under a coin shortage, so it has made things a little bit dicier with using cash. However, I found that for the most part, everywhere that I shop is still accepting cash. They just prefer that you pay with exact change or with a debit card, but I've only had one place really tell me that I could not use cash at all, and that was at a Meijer. So I just, in that case, if I have cash and I can't use it for whatever reason, whether it be the coin shortage or I just need to purchase something online or whatever, the way that I handle that is I have an envelope in my wallet that is set up so that I can take the cash out of whatever the category is that I'm making the transaction for, and I can stick it in that envelope. It's my 2-bank envelope, and that money then will just go into the 2-bank envelope and get deposited to cover the transaction that I used my debit card for. I do have a buffer in my checking account to make that possible. So that's the way that I handle cash, because it's not always convenient or easy or possible to use cash, but for the most part, I do really enjoy using cash with my budget. I never thought that I would be that person. There was a point in time in my budgeting journey where I said, I'm never going to be a cash spender. I don't like cash envelopes, but I've definitely changed my ways with that. So, short story long, let's go ahead and talk about our cash envelopes. So, I have $40 set aside here for my husband's spending. My husband is very hands-off with the budget. He is our, primary income source. He works full-time while I'm a stay-at-home mom. So he makes the majority of the money, but he is very hands-off when it comes to spending it. He gets his paycheck auto-deposited into the bank every week. He takes his $40 spending money, which he can spend on whatever he wants, and he leaves the rest of the budgeting and deciding what to do with the money to me, which is nice. Obviously, I consult with him if I want to make a very large purchase, or, he tells me if there's something that he's going to need. But for the most part, he's very hands-off. He doesn't even know how much money we have in our checking account. Obviously, he could find out, but he's just very hands-off with it. So I give him his $40 a week. He spends that on whatever he wants. I don't ask him what he spends his money on. It's just I take it out of the budget, give it to him. He does with it what he pleases. So that takes care of that. I, for my personal spending, also get $40. So that can be for whatever I want to spend it on. If I want to buy myself a new pair of jeans, or I want to, buy myself a bouquet of flowers, or whatever it is. This is just personal spending. We do have sinking funds for things like clothing. So these are more like wants versus needs. Obviously, if I need a new pair of shoes, I take it out of the sinking fund. But if I want a fancy handbag or something, typically I will save up my spending money and that will come out of there. It's just how we've chosen to do it. So that's $40 for me as well. For the next category, I have miscellaneous. And this miscellaneous category covers anything else really in my budget that I didn't either think of or that I didn't budget quite enough money for. So this miscellaneous can cover an overage in any of my other categories if need be, or if I suddenly need to buy something and I didn't plan for it. That's where this miscellaneous budget comes in as well. It never fails. Every week there's something that comes up that I didn't anticipate, and so this miscellaneous just helps cover that, so I'm not swiping my credit card. Obviously, the point of doing my budget every single week is to make sure that all of my expenses can be taken care of without having to swipe that credit card, because we are trying to pay our credit cards off. So this miscellaneous just helps with that, and then I budget $50 for that. Next up, we have gas. I like to take my gas money out in cash because while it's kind of a pain to go into the gas station to pay before we pump our gas, I like having any cash that is left over because we put that right into a sinking fund. So I have budgeted $40 for gas this week, and that's down a little bit. I typically budget $50 a week, but we did just get a new car. It was a used car, but it's new to us. We purchased a 2017 Subaru Forester, which is my dream car, and I'm absolutely loving it. But prior to that, we had a big old gas guzzling truck. So we were going through $50 a week in gas, just going back and forth to like Walmart and to run like basic errands. Now that we have the Subaru, I anticipate that we are going to be spending much less in gas. I don't even think we're going to need $40 a week, but I budgeted $40 a week because I want to be able to fit in a car wash here and there out of that budget. Definitely want to take care of my new car. So we're going to go with $40 for the week. I can always adjust that up or down in subsequent weeks. That's the great thing about budgeting by the week. I can change up my strategy in just 7 days if this isn't working out. So $40 for now. I think that'll do me just fine. And lastly, we have eating out. So when we bought the new car, our payment did go up a little bit. Our truck payment was around $300 a month, and our new car payment is going to be closer to $400. It's like $385, but I most likely will round up to $400 just because that's how I tend to do things. And so that we don't have, you know, that extra $100 just being ripped out of our hands, and to make it a little bit easier to stomach that extra $100 a month, I've decided to cut our eating out budget a little bit. This is something I've been wanting to do anyway because I felt like we were eating out a lot more than we needed to be. Not super healthy or great for the budget, so buying the new car was just sort of like the incentive I needed to cut back this eating out budget. Now, I didn't take on the new car payment. I would not have taken it on if we couldn't afford it. The extra $100 is there in our budget to use. It's not like we are going to have to scrimp and save to come up with that extra $100. But I just thought that it would be nice to offset it a little bit so that we didn't have to eat up into our, extra money that's in our checking account and that sort of thing. Why make it harder than it has to be? So I just decided to cut down my eating out budget a little bit to accommodate that, and also the less money for gas every month will help offset that as well. So hopefully that makes sense. We're not hurting for that extra $100. We had it in the budget. You know, we're not going broke buying a car by any stretch of the imagination, but I just thought it would be nice to offset it a little bit. So we've taken our eating out budget down to $30 a week. That could change in the future. We were doing $50 a week, so it's not that much of a downgrade realistically by the week, but it's going to save us $80 a month. So that almost makes up that extra $100 for the car payment. I am very chatty today. I apologize, you guys. Hopefully I was explaining all of that well. Anyways, if you add up everything for my cash envelopes, you get a total of $200 for the cash envelopes, which I will pull out of the bank. I've actually already pulled it out of the bank. And I will do a whole separate video where I do my cash envelope stuffing. So you guys will see that on Friday. Okay, so that takes care of that category. Next up, we have sinking funds. If you're not familiar with sinking funds, these are small amounts of money that we save throughout the year for a larger expense. Something that we know is coming up, something we can prepare for, and it just happens more often than once a week or once a month, or less often rather. So things like Christmas only comes once a year, so we know it's coming in December. We save up a little bit throughout the year so that when it rolls around, we have that money saved up. We don't miss that $20 or $30 that we set aside that week, but we would miss $1,000 if we had to pull it out all at once. So sinking funds just help us to save for things for our future. I have a lot of sinking funds. I think like a dozen, but we only focus on a couple at a time, just to make our budget super easy, simple, and streamlined. And so this week we are going to be focusing on just two of our sinking funds. Our home insurance sinking fund. We pay for our home insurance by the year to insure our mobile home that we live in. It's about $800 a year. It's pretty affordable. And so we just save up a little bit every month to go towards that and pay it all at once in July. So we're going to set $75 aside for that. And then the other fund we are going to add money to this week is our car maintenance fund. Because we got the new car, I don't anticipate we're going to have a ton of maintenance expenses in terms of like fixing things that are broken. I mean, obviously that can happen even with a new car, but our oil changes are going to be a little bit more expensive moving forward with the synthetic oil in our Subaru. And also we have drained this account quite a bit buying things to outfit our new car. We bought some weatherproof mats for the car that came out of our car maintenance fund. We're putting in a remote start. That's also going to come out of our car maintenance fund. So I just wanted to add a little bit of money back to that fund since we have been exercising it quite a bit this month. So that is going to get $75 as well, for a total of $150 for sinking funds for the week. I try to put about $150 a week into our sinking funds whenever possible. So that is that. Next up, we have our debt snowball. So we are on a debt-free journey. We have quite a bit of credit card debt that we are trying to pay down. We have been working on that for about 2 years now, but really focusing in on it hard, especially just this year in 2020. So every time that we pay off a credit card, we take that minimum payment that we were paying and we add it to our debt snowball. So this debt snowball has grown quite a bit over the course of the year as we have paid down a bunch of smaller credit cards. So we pay the minimum payments on all of our cards, and then the card that has the lowest balance that we're currently working on, which is a State Farm Visa card, gets our debt snowball, which is up to a total of $150 a week. So we send $150 a week without fail to the card with the lowest balance, and then anything extra that we have at the end of the week, I tend to send to that card as well. So I budgeted $200 for our bills here, but if our bills category only adds up to $180, then that extra $20 typically will go straight to that debt as well. So that's the way that I do it. Not saying that's necessarily the best way or the way that you should do it, that's just what I do. So $150 is going to go to our debt snowball this week. And lastly, we have savings. This is extra savings that's different from our sinking funds because we don't have a specific goal in mind for the savings. We don't have a specific amount we're trying to save. It's just a little bit of extra money that I stick aside that I can use for whatever I want. It's sort of like a bonus personal spending money. We can use it for, whatever. I've been adding money to the savings and then immediately taking it out to be used for other things. I drained quite a bit of the savings again for more stuff for our car. We're having a lot of fun outfitting our car with, new things, just to keep it nice. Like I said, we bought some car mats that came out of our car maintenance, but we also bought seat back covers from Subaru, and that came out of our savings, just so we didn't take such a hit from our car maintenance sinking fund. So we're going to put $50 into that savings this week. It's pretty much empty, I think, at this point, because we've just been using that money, but that's okay, because that's what it's there for. And if I didn't have it, I would have swiped a credit card. So grateful for my extra savings. So we're going to add $50 towards that, bulk it back up a little bit. All right, you guys, that is it for my budget. I yammered on and on and on in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it short today. Usually I would do my cash envelope breakdown in this video as well, but I've already gone to the bank and pulled out the cash that I needed, so I will just include the cash envelope breakdown in my cash envelope stuffing video that you will see on Friday. So that's going to do it then for my second budget in the month of September. I hope you guys are having a great month so far and you are hitting all of your financial goals. Leave me a comment down below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!